because of the snowfall as well as the sleet and the freezing rain blending in. And it started as sleet this morning. I know when I was out talking with Rob for the morning Miller Time segment at around 7:20, there was sleet coming down for the most part as I had the dogs and pig out, and then even took the one dog for a walk. But it changed over to some ginormous snowflakes in the midst of that dog walk, and then has stayed snow much of the day.
I'm not sure I'm ever going to get used to you saying taking the dogs and the pig out.
It's not that strange.
It's a little strange.
No, not at all.
No, it's a little strange.
You've met Millie.
I have. I met Millie as a young warthog.
There you go. And now she's growing.
All right, time to let the dogs and the pig out.
She acts just like a dog. She really does.
I have seen videos, like the video where she knows her name.
Knows her name.
Knows when you're yelling at her that she's doing something wrong. It's funny how animals adapt.
But like a dog, she still doesn't always listen. Like a
said,
child.
And like a pig, she still does things that you have to go, okay, she's a pig.
She's food motivated.
Well, you and I are food motivated too. It doesn't mean we're pigs.
Which apparently is the reason why, we were accused of eating all that pizza by the Morning Eastern Panhandle Talk crew. So we hear from Rob Mario. Only took him 4 hours to get home today. That gives you an idea of road conditions.
That's about a 45, 50-minute commute for Rob, too. So to put that in perspective, back to Frederick County on the back end, almost Montgomery County.
Yeah.
So 45 to 50-minute drive, taking 4+ hours.
And that's when you think of that time frame, though, that's not just 4 hours. That is 4 extremely stressful hours.
Yes.
Because it's stop and go, and it's hard to both stop and go because of the road conditions, and you're wondering if you're going to slip or slide, and there's a tension that is there with the hands on the steering wheel and the focus on the vehicles around and the roadway, and so when you talk about 4 hours of travel in conditions like this, it's certainly not easy. So if you are on the roadways right now, please be extremely cautious. If you are not on the roadways, stay wherever you are. If you're at home especially, don't try to venture out. Let the road crews do what they are doing. Let the emergency crews and responders do what they need to be doing, and enjoy this evening at home.
We want the roads completely cleared when we have to drive. It has been kind of funny telling people, don't drive, get off the roads all day long, and then us looking back and forth at each other going, we're not going to follow this. We have to leave at some point.
Right, but thankfully it'll be a short trip for us, as just to give you the fair warning, it'll be the first ever morning edition of Matt and Matt in the Mornings.
I'm not sure people are ready for that.
We'll see how that goes. If you can tolerate us in the evening, then you might be able to tolerate us in the morning. Rob's texting me even as we speak, so I'm assuming he must be listening in right now. He said, took 40 as 70 was blocked by sideways trucks. Unfortunately, trucks know about 40 also, and apparently there were issues with trucks on 40. So, yeah, from what we've seen, looking at some online map situations and from telephone calls we have received throughout the day on Interstate 81 and Route 9 and other places, there are not very many roadways around the area at all that have remained accident-free and, or I guess you might say incident-free. While maybe not an accident, vehicles that have been stuck or stranded or, has not been able to, maneuver up a hill or down a hill or around a curve.
Well, just to give you a traffic update right now, it does look like 81 is moving the best it's moved all day. Again, because I think people are just getting off the road at this time, leaving work early, getting back home. There still is an issue right at about the Maryland line. There's been accidents right in that area. Again, the road work there makes it a awful area to drive anyway. But a accident right now, it looks like a couple miles before you get to the Spring Mills exit going southbound on 81. That has traffic at a standstill. But other than that, I think it's just congestion traffic on 11. There's seems to be no actual issues with accidents anywhere else in the area, which is strange. We've seen accidents everywhere. It looks like every other place in the Eastern Panhandle and pretty close on 70 and 81 in the surrounding areas around Hagerstown is clear. Again, another little accident right around Winchester, but for the first time all day, very minimal incidents on the road right now.
All right, we do have a caller on the WVU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center talk line. We're running blind here tonight as Matt and I are in studio, and so I'm answering this phone call live on the air, and they have hung up. So apparently it was not someone that necessarily wanted to be live on the air with us. I was wondering if maybe there was a traffic update or story coming from one of our listeners, and so we'll go to that phone line again if we do get a phone call coming in. But clearly it's been a crazy day. That who would have expected November 15th that we're going to get 6 to 7 inches of snow. You were outside a couple of different times today and took the ruler and did the measurement. What was our last measurement?
The last I had was 6.5 in the parking lot, and that was, I'm trying to think when they came and plowed the parking lot. It was probably somewhere in the range of 3:30. So at 3:30, and that was when the snow was pretty much stopping. So I think our final count is somewhere, depending on the drifts you're measuring or whatever, it's somewhere between 6 and 7 inches, which is pretty impressive considering a day or two ago we were projecting, the 1 to 3 range?
Right.
Usually the weathermen are wrong in the other direction where they predict 1 or 3 and we get rain. It's very rare that they're wrong in this direction where they predict 1 to 3 and we get 6, 6.5, 7.
Well, it was Rob who was trying to give us a call on our talk line. For whatever reason, it did not go through. He says, I will tell you, worst driving conditions I have ever driven in.
That's saying something because Rob's about 95 years old.
And he's from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So he's been in and out of some conditions as a young driver there and driving his family back and forth from the Pittsburgh area to the Frederick area. And so that does say a lot when he's talking about road conditions as bad as he has ever seen them. There's an indication, folks. Again, if you're home right now, if you're at some place that you can stay, yes, stay there, stay off of the roadways. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and let's talk a little high school football. That's where we'll go next as we begin to preview quarterfinal round matchups involving 3 Eastern Panhandle teams this weekend. That's next on Miller Time. Who should you call when it comes to your real estate legal needs?
This is Chris Luttrell, local real estate attorney with offices in Martinsburg and Charlestown. Let's be direct. Buying or selling your home is a matter not to be taken lightly. At my firm, Luttrell LC, we possess the experience and knowledge to represent you and ensure your most important investment is protected. Give us a call at 304-267-3050, 304-267-3050, because at Luttrell LC, your home is our business.
Ladies, come to Valley Guns 2 and see the new Smith & Wesson 380 Shield EZ. It's easy to load, easy to shoot, and easy to carry. While you're there, check out the full line of Smith & Wesson handguns, including the MP 2.0 9mm full-size semi-automatic and the MP 2.0 compact, or the Model 60 and 640 Pro Series revolvers. Find these and more at Valley Guns 2, Exit 5 off I-81 Inwood, West Virginia. Online at valleyguns2.com.
I'm Ari Wolf with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Ben Roethlisberger says he texted Le'Veon Bell before the deadline Tuesday, saying he'd hoped he'd show up and didn't get a response. Bell didn't show up Tuesday, making him ineligible to play for the rest of the season. With Bell's career in Pittsburgh almost certainly over, it appears his teammates have moved on as well. After practice on Wednesday, multiple Steelers raided Bell's locker. According to multiple reports, they took his nameplate off his stall and divided up items they found. And the question in Baltimore, will it be Lamar Jackson or Joe Flacco? John Harbaugh didn't rule out Robert Griffin III either. Flacco didn't practice Wednesday as he continues to deal with a hip injury. Rookie quarterback Lamar Jackson says he's preparing for whatever happens and will be ready to start against the Bengals if needed. Browns GM John Dorsey says interim head coach Greg Williams deserves a chance to interview for Cleveland's coaching vacancy. Williams has gone 1-1 since taking over for Hugh Jackson. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
The national debt is now over $20 trillion. What happens next? Rising inflation drops in the dollar's value. Some experts say another crash crash is coming. You can fight this, not with stocks or bonds, but with gold and silver coins in an IRA from Augusta Precious Metals. Call 855-858-5807 and learn how an IRA backed by physical gold and silver can hedge against inflation. Call Augusta Precious Metals right now at 855-858-5807 and get a free gold IRA guide. Call 855-858-5807. The national debt is now over $20 trillion. What happens next? Rising inflation drops in the dollar's value. Some experts say another crash is coming. You can fight this, not with stocks or bonds, but with gold and silver coins in an IRA from Augusta Precious Metals. Call 855-858-5807 and learn how an IRA backed by physical gold and silver can hedge against inflation. Call Augusta Precious Metals right now at 855-858-5807 and get a free gold IRA guide. Call 855-858-5807.
Possibilities are all around us. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action in communities all around the world. Together, we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved at Rotary.org.
Let's face it, sometimes local is just better. Locally grown, locally sourced, shop local, eat local. But what about local expertise? At Allstate, Gary Kelly is just that, a local. So contact Martinsburg Allstate agent Gary Kelly today so he can help you with protection that's right for you and the things you love most. Call 304-263-4596. Allstate, are you in good hands? Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Assurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company.
All right, we welcome you back into Miller Time on this Thursday evening. Glad that you could spend a little bit of time with us. Hope that you are safe wherever you may be. Wow, Rob just texting me a news story says 89 million are under a winter weather advisory, and so far there have been 5 deaths in this storm as it has moved along the East Coast.
The storm kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, it wasn't expected to be this bad, was it?
I don't think so. Not things that I had read, seen, or heard. I mean, there was the possibility of this wintry mix. I know Bob Kukin, being on Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave, commented about how it seems the moisture came in a little more quickly than they anticipated, which meant the cold weather was still in place.
Yeah.
And now the moisture and the cold weather together creating the situation.
It's not a good combination.
No, it's been far worse than what I'm sure they were anticipating. Also just got off the phone there during that break as well with our Berkeley County Sheriff. Thanks to him calling in to kind of give us a little bit of a heads up that he was just coming off of I-81, and he said a lot of 81 now is kind of down to the wet, bare type of pavement, and he is trying to hit a couple of the secondaries on his ride home, but the good news is things are settling down out there a little bit as the temperature's gone up just a touch, but also folks are heeding the warnings, staying off the roadways, not as much traffic and things going on, and that's allowing the workers to do what they're doing. So he'll keep us updated, and especially as we get into tomorrow morning as well. But again, be aware of roadways around the area still being difficult to traverse. So again, if you can stay off those roadways, please do. All right, let's jump into some high school football. Let's start with the Musselman Applemen as they are scheduled to play first. I say scheduled because that's tomorrow night at 7:30. The last time I checked in with Steve Campbell, he said a decision would be made on Friday morning, that the Ripley Viking team was actually traveling to the area today, and so they will be in the area overnight tonight, and that means as long as the weather cooperates tomorrow and things heat up and we get some sunshine and snow melts and road conditions warrants, there is still the possibility that game would be played at Spring Mills tomorrow evening.
And I don't know. To me, if you're moving one game because you're afraid of field conditions, even with turf, I think it's going to be sloppy turf conditions. It's not going to be nearly as sloppy as a mud field and a grass field, obviously, but you're still going to have standing water in places. You're still going to be impacted on the sideline. To me, if I was in their shoes, I think I might move that to Saturday afternoon.
Well, we will wait and find out again as a decision will be made tomorrow morning. Right now, we catch up with Musselman head coach Brian Thomas. Talked to him on Monday after the team's win against John Marshall in the opening round of the playoffs last Friday night, and looking ahead to this matchup with Ripley.
Yeah, I feel like, you look back at what we've done all season, the 10 games leading up to this, I think that was the best game that we've played, just as far as all three aspects, offense, defense, and special teams. Not saying we played perfect, but, overall evaluating, offensively, I thought we played really, really well. Defensively, we won the game really. I think defensively and special teams, we didn't have any errors or any mess ups on special teams. So, you always want to peak at this time of the year. And I think, if you judge last week's game, I think we did that.
Does it mean even more to you that you were able to do that in some pretty adverse conditions against a playoff team? Yeah,
John Marshall, they were coming in the game, they were 6-4, but they won some good games, and they were a good, you don't get into the playoffs by accident. They were a good football team. I think that we made them look like a bad football team just because I thought our kids came out really focused and played really well. But I think going back to that word focus, I think our kids came out and I think they had a purpose last week, and that to me as a coach, I think not worried about the field condition, just worrying about, hey, we got to win this football game and we got to make it to the next round. I think that really took over.
You've talked to us all season long about taking steps ahead, going from 8 wins to 9 wins, going from an opening round playoff game to now the quarterfinal round. How good does that feel?
Yeah, it feels really good. I think there's so many things I could talk about, but just to preach to these kids constantly about the hard work paying off, and they're seeing that happen now. Like you said, we have talked about that all year. We wanted to get past the 8-2 mark, and we did. We got to the 9-1 mark. We wanted to get to that first round playoff game and have a home playoff game and win that home playoff game, and we did that. So we continue to take those steps. At the same time, we don't want to be satisfied here. Now our next step is let's get to the semis.
The team that's in the way of that next step, the Ripley Vikings. You couldn't get probably farther away from here than there. What do you know about them?
Physical, very physical. They're going to line up and run right at you. The biggest thing that when I put on the film and watch them on film is the effort. That they play with a great amount of effort. Their kids play really hard, and that's something that we preach to our kids. We constantly talk about if you're going to mess up, if you give great effort, that'll kind of make up for your mess ups, and I see that a lot in them. I think any team that comes out like that, they present problems. They're going to come in here Friday ready to go, and we're going to preach and talk to our kids this week about starting fast. If we can start fast and get up on them early and kind of take away some of their effort, then I feel good about our chances. If we let them come out and dictate how the game's going to go with their effort, then we could be in for a long night.
Do they remind you of any team that you've seen during the course of the season, or is this kind of a new animal?
John Marshall. Honestly, we've played so many teams this year that will spread you out, and some teams will spread you out to throw the ball 50, 60 times a game. Some teams will spread you out in order to run the ball. John Marshall's really the only team that we played that will go under center and just come right at you, and Ripley's a lot like that. They're a better version, no offense to John Marshall, but they're a way better version of John Marshall. I think they're more, they're more physical, but they're going to line up and they're going to come right at you. But they have some really good athletes that if they get in space, they can make big plays as well. So, we're going to have to play really sound against these guys.
A little advantage having seen John Marshall just last week that you're seeing someone similar this week?
Yeah, definitely. Just because, we sit there and go over, as a coaching staff, and we sit there and go over the game plan, a lot of the calls, a lot of the checks are going to be the same things, the very similar formations and things that we just got done lining up to. I don't know if I want to say advantage, but it's good for us just because we don't have to come in and we're not facing a completely different team this week. Like I said, a better team, but, schematically, we're seeing a lot of the same things.
Coach, thank you for your time. Good luck this week.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
There you go. We talked with Brian Thomas, head coach of the Musselman Applemen, as they will entertain Ripley. Again, that game scheduled to be played at Spring Mills High School, the neutral site, the turf field as opposed to the sloppy natural grass out at Musselman, and it's 7:30 on Friday night. Our pregame at 6:30.
I know you don't have an answer to this, but what are the odds, in your opinion, that if it gets moved to Saturday, they're able to move it back to Musselman?
I would doubt that.
You don't think it would be able to dry that quick?
No, not at all. Not the amount of rain and what we've got.
6 inches of snow melting.
Yeah. And there's still more in that forecast as we go through the evening as far as, some sort of sleet and or freezing rain, depending on where the temperatures go through the overnight hours. So All right, we'll preview, let's see. When we come back, we'll actually look back to the Spring Mills high school football season. We'll preview the other Saturday matchups on tomorrow evening's Miller time. Coming up at 6 o'clock, it's the pregame for WVU basketball, so stay tuned for that as the Mountaineers take on Monmouth. This is Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg.
But a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
It's probably been about 10 years ago. I had quite a few credit cards. The interest on the cards was really high. I was making the minimum payments, but barely. And it was just getting to be too much, so I called Trinity.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976 to talk to a certified counselor.
They met with me, and they were able to get all of my credit cards in one lower payment.
Trinity will consolidate your accounts into one easy-to-manage monthly payment, put a stop to late fees and over-limit charges, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands.
They did help me learn how to manage my money. Now, we have a house, and we're doing a lot better.
If your debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800.
People are proud to support our local community and bring you the latest local news, local weather, and local sports. Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg, Hedgesville, Bowling Waters.
A pre-dating store drew millions of Americans through a loop today.
Two teenage boys at home eat me out of house and home, and if they're going to be home all day, here they are.
Snowplows were out in Lewis, Missouri, which had 4 inches by this morning. The storm that hit Mississippi up to closed school and businesses and caused at least 7 deadly highway crashes. The woman in New York City leaving the train to others.
Thank God we ready for it. It's Uber Day today. Uber Day is no.
Just drivers should use caution because
slippery for the evening commute and potential from rain with.
Update.
Now, with your local forecast, weatherman Bob Kukin.
Wintry precipitation continues on here this evening with a winter storm warning in effect into the early morning hours of Friday. We will see it come to an end gradually here after midnight and during the pre-dawn period. Looking at low temperatures holding pretty steady around 32. Sunshine comes back for the daytime Friday and it turns milder with highs in the middle 40s, so lots of ice melting will occur. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
Shop Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram today and find over 150 new and used vehicles to choose from. From gas savers to SUVs to four-wheel drive trucks, all of the new and most of the pre-owned vehicles come standard with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Now you can drive away with peace of mind knowing your vehicles are covered for life. And the best part about it, there are no service requirements with Miller's, and it's all included to you at no extra cost. That's right, no extra charge, and you're not required to service with us. Just follow the manufacturer's recommendations, and you're covered for life. With great quality vehicles and a great price, you can't miss with Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Our courteous, experienced, and professional staff is waiting to assist you with finding the perfect vehicle that fits all of your needs. Unbeatable deals and excellent financing is right down the road. Stop in today. Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Route 9 and Kelly Island Road, just east of Martinsburg, or online at MillerChryslerJeep.com. Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
Only 3 NBA games on the slate, but a big one at 8 o'clock Eastern. The Warriors visiting the Rockets. Houston, they have won 2 games in a row. Obviously for Golden State, an odd week with the suspension of Draymond Green and the back and forth arguing with him and Kevin Durant. Draymond will be back on the floor. 9 o'clock, it's the Hawks and the Nuggets. Denver trying to put an end to a 4-game skid. 10:30, Spurs and the Clippers. Both teams moving in different directions. LA winners of 2 in a row. San Antonio losers of 2 games in a row. Thursday night football, it's the Packers and the Seahawks at 8:20. Green Bay enters the night with a 4-4-1 record. Seattle is at 4-5. College hoops, a bunch of games later tonight, including Syracuse at UConn. Both teams are 2-0. Major League Baseball, we await. The league most valuable players will be awarded tonight. I'm Keith Irizarry, and this is NBC Sports Radio.
Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning is the place.
If you're a hard selection and value that you possibly can. That's why you need to come see us today. We give you more for your money, and you know we're gonna.
You work hard, and the folks at Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning will work hard to fix any heating or cooling problem. They have the newest and energy-efficient York heating and cooling systems. Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning will beat any written price. Offers 24-hour service with free estimates and affordable financing. If you need help, call Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning, your York certified dealer, offering service you can trust for over 15 years. Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning.
We give you more for your money, and you know we're gonna deal your way.
Where quality meets comfort. Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning. Call 304-260-5644.
And we welcome you back into Miller Time on this snowy Thursday evening. Glad you could spend a little time with us as we begin to preview the high school football playoffs for the weekend, as well as we'll talk a little Capitals and Wizards coming up in a few moments. And we're going to put the finishing touches on the Spring Mills high school football season. But first, it's not yesterday, it's not today, but it's tomorrow's date in sports history. Let's take a look at what would be November the 16th, and we go to 1924.
It's a good year.
The Cleveland Bulldogs lose to the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. What's important was it ended the Bulldogs' 31-game undefeated streak, which is still an NFL/Major League Football record. 31 in a row.
Nobody's come close.
No. And in this modern NFL, no one will ever come close. But 31 straight, that's a lot of wins. Let's go to the New York Rangers playing their first ever game on tomorrow's date, 1926. They beat the Montreal Maroons 1-0.
What a creative name.
The Maroons?
You wonder what color their uniforms were?
Blue. Let's go to the 16th of November, 1957. Celtic Bill Russell sets the NBA record of 49 rebounds in a 111-89 win against Philadelphia.
Did he get every rebound?
I'd have to go back and look at some stats from that one. I would like to know,
crazy.
How many total rebounds were there? Yeah, that definitely is crazy. 1966, Pirates outfielder Roberto Clemente named the NL MVP. And I'll end with this one. I hate to do it to you. I do.
No, you don't.
No, I do. But I think it's significant enough I have to bring it up. Tomorrow's date, 1969, the Dallas Cowboys beat the Washington Redskins 41-28. But why I bring it up and what makes it significant is U.S. President Richard Nixon becomes the first president to attend a season NFL game while in office by going to that game in D.C. So that's the only reason that I bring it up.
I'm hoping that luck changes on Thanksgiving this year, by the way.
Yes. Hey, I got to bring up one more now that I scrolled down just far enough. 1980 Tampa Bay Buccaneer quarterback Doug Williams, connection to your Redskins as well, throws for 486 yards in a game. There you go. Just a couple of events that you can talk with your friends about tomorrow on the 16th of November, tomorrow's date in sports history. All right, we talked about the fact that the Musselman game against Ripley will be played at Spring Mills. Let's put the finishing touches on that Spring Mills high school football season. You had a chance earlier this week to talk to Chad Williams after the team bowed out of the playoffs in the opening round against the number 2 seed in Spring Valley.
I did, and I just got it started with how he saw his team play and just kind of recapping that tough loss against Spring Valley.
a lot of factors go into that. One thing about the style of football we play, when we are, completely outmanned because of the tempo we try to run and the way we throw the ball, we're going to get beat by some pretty lopsided scores. And, that certainly happened Friday night. Ran into a very good football team, on a muddy field with a 7-hour drive, and just a lot of factors into that. But, even in perfect conditions, that was just that was a good football team, and obviously they got what they deserved.
Had you all seen a team like them throughout this season, or were they a completely different bear to attack?
They were completely different. Obviously, I think Martinsburg's just as good as them, but in the style and what they did, I've never seen a high school football team that big, both in numbers and in size of their players. They threw several 300-pounders up there. They had, I think, 108 players in uniform Friday night. Just things we hadn't seen before. They're very good at what they do.
While you lost in the first official round of the playoffs, you guys had the equivalent of 2 playoff games before that game. What was the message to your team after that loss?
It was I kind of keep it short and sweet. I don't want to talk a whole lot after the season ends. Everybody knows what that conversation is like, and I don't think anybody's real interested in hearing my voice after that. They just kind of want to get on the bus and go home. So, I just kind of tried to go throughout the locker room, talk to the seniors individually as we're getting ready to go, and, obviously a pretty long bus ride home where I got a chance to talk a little bit. But, basically just proud of them. They could have given up after we dropped that Mountain Ridge game. We dropped 3-5. They could have given up a couple weeks before that after we, got off to that 2-4 start. We definitely got better as the season went on. And, I think the message at this point has to just be positives moving toward the future. We're going to be very, very young next year. I would look for probably close to half of our starters on both sides of the ball next year to be sophomores. But, we do have some really good returning talents, especially in what's going to be our junior class next year. I thought, especially late in the year, 3 sophomores really stood out for us in Keon Padmore Johnson, Chase Henson, and Jake McCarron. So the core's there, and, this little run at the end of the year and the way we improved at the end of the year, I think definitely gives us something to build on.
With all that being said about the youth of this team going forward, how important is this offseason, both training and getting in the weight room? When does that process start for your team?
I'm looking forward to having the off season. One thing I think these kids missed out on last year with me not getting hired and not having a head coach in place until the middle of March, they missed out on about 4 months of training that other teams had an opportunity to get. This year we're going to be able to get in the weight room right off the bat. We're going to kick it into gear. I'm going to give them off this week. And, of course, next week we've got the holiday. So as soon as we get back to school after Thanksgiving break, we're going to kick it into gear. And, I'm looking forward to having an off season. I didn't get an off season last year. Kids didn't know me. I wasn't up here until June. The kids didn't know me. Heck, even the coaching staff didn't know me. I mean, the guys I worked with all year this year, I didn't know any of them until I got here. So having that off season and a chance to start building a little bit of a family environment, and and this is really the time, I think, when we start working to build the program.
On a personal level for you, what was the jump between being at a very good program at Single A East Hardy and then making that jump to AAA?
The jump to me this year was more, it wasn't necessarily a jump from one program to another, but just getting used to a different area, some different kids. One thing that I think I may have taken for granted a little bit too much at East Hardy is those kids, I was there for 11 years, and those kids knew my expectations because, even last year's seniors, they were in the second grade when I started coaching there. So it was really all they knew, and they only knew the program being one way. And a lot of the little things, like teaching them how to practice, teaching them how to work out, understanding the rules and expectations, that stuff was already in place. And, I think for me going forward, I've got to do a little bit better job of building that back up next year, with players, coaches, with everybody involved in the program.
Well, Coach, congratulations on a phenomenal first season, and thanks for giving us some time each week, and enjoy the next couple weeks off.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Looking forward to talking to you again next year.
There you go. Spring Mills head football coach Chad Williams. Nice job for that team to fight late in the season to get to that 5-5 record, earn a playoff spot. They finished 5-6 and now go into that full off season under the head coach. I'm anxious to see how they look next year because did you notice what he said about a number of sophomores?
Sophomores coming, which would mean next year it'll be the kids that won the EPAC championship with the freshman team this year. So, yeah, I'm interested with that too. And it still impresses me that not only the way they finished this year and the way he was able to rally the troops, including big injuries at big positions, but this is now the fourth playoff appearance for Spring Mills in a school whose first football season was 2013. So I think that's a phenomenal start for a football program. I know it hasn't gotten them really anywhere past the first round of the playoffs, but still to be able to be a top 16 team in the state 4 times in the first 5-6 years you've been a program, I think that speaks volumes to the environment they're building over there.
Well, and when you look at what Chad Williams did at East Hardy, they've got the right man, it looks like, at the helm who can help to lead this team even to more lofty goals than just making the playoffs. Let's go win a few playoff games. Certainly something that Musselman and Hedgesville have found a way to do as they will play quarterfinal round games. We mentioned the Musselman game tomorrow night at Spring Mills. Hedgesville will play at Capitol on Saturday. Martinsburg will host Parkersburg on Saturday. We'll preview those games coming up tomorrow night. Stay tuned for more Miller Time.
Fire off this season with Sunfire Energy Solutions. When it comes to gas, wood, and pellet fireplaces, stoves, and inserts, we've got it all. Quadrafire, Harmon, Heat and Glow, Vermont Castings, and much more. Come by and see the 3,000 square foot showroom located in downtown Martinsburg with hundreds of outdoor amenities to choose from. Are you already dreading the expected heating bill increases? We can help. Sunfire Energy Solutions is your total energy experts. Find out more on Facebook and sunfireenergysolutions.com or stop by the showroom today.
A DUI arrest can have a devastating impact on one's life, your job, your driver's license, and in some cases, your very freedom. My name is Harley Wagner. I own and operate West Virginia's only exclusive DUI defense firm. Since 1999, I've been representing citizens throughout the Eastern Panhandle and state of West Virginia charged with DUI. Let my years of training and experience work for you.
The initial consultation is free at the Wagner Law Firm in Martinsburg. Phone 304-901-7400 or online at westvirginiaduilawyers.com.
West Virginia's offensive and defensive coordinators look ahead to Saturday's showdown with the Cowboys. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story coming up on today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics.
When you order your groceries online at Kroger.com or with the Kroger app, you can do your shopping anytime, anywhere, like the gym, the office, or your favorite comfy couch. Plus, when you visit Kroger.com, you can find hundreds of money-saving digital coupons. And whether you place your order on your phone, tablet, or computer, it's still your neighborhood Kroger. So you'll find all the fresh choices, low prices, and great deals you love. And once you've selected your coupons and finished your shopping, you choose a pickup time that fits your schedule. And relax while your order is hand-picked, just the way you like it. Then all you have to do is hop in the car and drive to the store's pickup location. And a friendly Kroger associate will load your specially picked order for you. You don't even have to get out of your vehicle. It's so convenient. Save time. Shop online today at Kroger.com.
Time to get coordinated on today's edition of the Mountaineer Report. We'll hear from both Tony Gibson, West Virginia's defensive coordinator, and Jake Spavital, the Mountaineer offensive coordinator. Now, Spavital getting ready to run the WVU offense against first-year Oklahoma State defensive coordinator Jim Knowles.
He's more aggressive. He plays a lot more man, a lot more exotic blitzes. That's why it's going to be a fun game because, he can catch you for a negative yard play real quick, or we can hit him with the big play. It turns into a chess match, a guessing game, and he keeps you on your toes the entire game.
Over on the other side, West Virginia defensive coordinator Gibson says he's been impressed with Oklahoma State's offense.
It's pretty similar what they want to do. I tell you, the misnomer with them, though, is they can't run the ball. They're averaging 511 yards a game offensively, and Cornelius does a good job of throwing it, but also they probably have the best running back in the Big 12, Justice Hill. I mean, he's special.
Back over to Spavital now on the emergence of West Virginia tight end Trayvon Wesco, and what does that mean for West Virginia's offense?
You look at the threats of our receivers out there and then how we're implementing the running backs in the pass game. You know, you got to throw Wesco in there as well, which it's pleasing from my standpoint where, you know, our hit chart with these kids are all over the field. So it's just that good addition where they have to account for the tight end with the possibility of him, you know, getting out on a pass play, which that loosens up the box a little bit. That allows for the run game to hit a little bit better.
Yeah, and both Spavital and Gibson say it will be a huge challenge coming up on Saturday. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from IMG.
Coming up, more Miller Time.
With 4 new car dealerships and 4 used car dealerships in 3 states, Parsons is the largest used car and fastest growing new car dealer in the tri-state area. Take Parsons Ford with huge savings on hundreds of new Fords, financing from 0%, Parsons' goal of financing for all, and Parsons' famous above-market trade-in allowances that help make Parsons #1 for used cars, too. See why so many won't buy anywhere but Parsons Ford in Martinsburg. We became #1 by making you #1 first. Parsons.
Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics insurance companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com.
Welcome back into Miller Time, a 1-hour edition on this snowy, wet, slippery Thursday, November the 15th. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll join the pregame Monmouth and WVU as they meet in the Myrtle Beach Invitational. The Mountaineers play tonight. They'll play tomorrow at 9 o'clock. If they win today, we'll join that game in progress after high school playoff football, or perhaps we'll have that game in its entirety, depending on what the schedule looks like tomorrow, depending on the weather conditions and road conditions and so forth tomorrow. And then the Mountaineers would play again on Sunday. That time is still to be determined, depending on how they do for the next couple of days. The Mountaineer football team has a very big game at Oklahoma State on Saturday. They will kick that one off at 3:30. You can go online to the IMG Mountaineer Network to get the pregame show from 12 noon up until 3:30. But we'll go on the air right around 12 noon with a half-hour edition of Miller Time, if you will. That will lead up to our 12:30 pregame show, and then the 1:30 kickoff for the Parkersburg-Martinsburg game. And then when that wraps up, we'll take you to that Mountaineer game against Oklahoma State.
It'll be the pregame to our pregame.
There you go. Which is what we basically do during weeknights.
How big, and you shouldn't have to say this, how big is the Monmouth game tonight for the Mountaineers? I'm not talking about just going out and getting a win. Because if they come out and get a 89-79 or 89-81 win, are you starting to get a little concerned about this Mountaineer team? I know it's early. I know that again, I still think the Mountaineers are going to be there at the end of the season. Maybe not in the top 15 like they were, but I still think they're flirting with a top 25 team. And they could, maybe that game against Buffalo was just a fluke. But they lose to Penn State in that exhibition. Penn State not expected to be very good this year. Then they blow a 13-point lead in the second half to Buffalo and end up losing in overtime, give up 99 points to Buffalo. If they come out and only are able to scrape by against Monmouth, are you getting a little concerned?
I would be, because Monmouth does not look like a team that should be able to match up at all with the Mountaineers. They are off to an 0-3 start to the season, have not scored a lot of points, and even when they did get above 80, they gave up more than 90 in a loss. So, yeah, I would look at this one and say this is one
that you got to put your stamp on.
I expect the Mountaineers to win and win handily in this matchup and then move on to the next round. All right, let's talk a little more college sports, but let's go volleyball style. Congratulations to the Shepherd University volleyball team. They concluded their season today in quarterfinal round action of the NCAA Division II Atlantic Region Tournament. First time they have ever played in that Atlantic region tournament, and they went in as the 7 seed. That means they had to face the 2nd seed, which is Gannon. By the way, their record now 31-2 after the win. But I tell you, Shepherd played them tough, as Shepherd lost 3-0, but listen to the scores, 25-18. Then the next matchup, 25-23. So right there, and that may have taken a little out of them as they lost then in that third game, 25-19, to ultimately fall in the quarterfinal round.
It's stepping stones for Coach Hoekstra and the Shepherd volleyball team. Again, that's a tight battle game against a Gannon team where you just heard their record. They've pretty much beaten everybody on their schedule this year, so hopefully this is a stepping stone. I'm not sure how many people returning for this volleyball team next year, whether it was a young class that can grow off of this or whether it was a senior-heavy class and maybe you're going to be rebuilding next year. But either way, a phenomenal team, a historic year for the Shepherd volleyball team, so congratulations. Sorry the season had ended like this, but still congratulations on a phenomenal season and a record-setting season.
Historic in a couple of different ways. Number one, they had their first ever 10-match winning streak, the longest in program history. They made the NCAA regional tournament for the first time in program history, and here's a nice note. Shepherd went 6-3 against Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference teams this year, which is the conference they'll be competing in next year. So it looks like they have set themselves up well to be competitive in that new league.
Again, assuming that they're going to have a lot of this team back. Because if you're rebuilding, that kind of goes out the window. But yeah, that is a very good sign. It'll be interesting to see. The football team didn't really get to taste that at all this year, so there wasn't a test for that at all. The soccer teams didn't have overly successful years up and down the board. We'll see what the basketball team does, because both the men's and women's basketball teams tend to play at least a handful of Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference teams throughout the year. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up in their season. Both teams being young, how the next couple years may look.
Speaking of, it did not go well for the women's basketball team, by the way. Against one of those PSAC schools, they lost in a big way against California University of Pennsylvania last night. So that's at least something to think about in the first matchup against a PSAC school this year. We got one more quick break to take. We'll come back and we will quickly wrap things up with a little Wizards and Capitals talk next on Miller Time.
If you can't come around, at least please telephone. Don't be.
L.A. Roberts is Berkeley County's oldest jeweler, where every season is new and exciting. In fact, new is old school to us, and though it's nothing new, our old traditions like exceptional service, quality, and value maintain L.A. Roberts Jewelers as the old master among so many new kids on the block. Whether you're a newcomer or part of the old guard, entrust all your fine jewelry needs to L.A. Roberts, Old World Jewelers for a new age, in historic downtown Martinsburg.
We do welcome you back into Miller Time, our final segment. In fact, it's going to be only about 2.5 minutes to wrap things up. And Matt, just getting this in, Tommy's sending me a text. It's a text alert that comes out from Berkeley County Schools. They will be closed tomorrow, but it adds football playoff schedules are still being determined at this time.
You really don't like turning my mic on anyway. But, yeah, so it looks like we'll find that out tomorrow. So, again, tune in tomorrow morning as it'll be Matt and Matt in the morning. Even better than Mike and Mike in the morning. Also, any Jefferson County parents we have listening, all the Jefferson County schools will be closed tomorrow. Enjoy your long holidays. I'm guessing Jefferson County is off all next week for the Thanksgiving holiday. So, a very long break for those kids.
All right, so let's wrap things up as we talk about the Wizards. A win over Cleveland last night, 119-95. Bradley Beal, 20 points to lead the way. And for Beal, get this, he becomes the youngest player to make 900 three-pointers. He did it on a tough shooting night, though, from beyond the arc. Frankly, he went 3 for 10. But here is
he was just trying to shoot out of the slump.
Here's the other fascinating stat from last night. Ian Mahimi also hit a three-pointer last night. From the other end of the spectrum, it was his 556th NBA game, and he took his 11th career three-point attempt and finally knocked it down.
Nice.
So
there's one person in the NBA who doesn't believe that the NBA should live and die by the three-pointer.
He said in the article that I read that John Wall told him, hey, get out in the corner as we come down the floor. So they were working their offense, and he said, I jumped out into the corner, and he said, I thought to myself, if I'm beyond the arc and I get it, I'm going to fire it up. And he said, sure enough, Wall hit me with it, and I put the shot up and finally made it. So,
well, that Beal stat, again, just goes to show you how much a three-pointer is the offense in the NBA now.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, the Capitals' tough loss last night, and the big question is, what's the upper body injury to Braden Holtby?
Could be a cut on his thumb, could be a severe head injury. You just never know with NHL injuries.
Hopefully he'll be back soon as the Caps lost to the Winnipeg Jets 3-1 the final. That does it for Miller Time on Talk Radio, WRNR Martinsburg.
Stations, your next and final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Stations, please be advised that you must...
Well, that would be the IMG Mountaineer Sports Network that was supposed to be kicking in the pregame show at 6 o'clock, telling us that we're still going to have to wait a few more seconds to get to that. So, Matt, we've got a few seconds. What do you want to talk about?
How the Capitals need to find consistency in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, they're 8-7-3 right now.
They've looked extremely good when they win, and then they have losses where it's head-scratching.
All right, let's take you now to the Mountaineers.